Hi, folks. You're with Tassos today. Tassos today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about this thing that seems to it won't go away. It's doing the rounds on social media. If a woman has a high body count, lots of sexual partners historically, then that means that she is a low quality. Is offering low quality relationship potential and high likelihood of short term divorce and acrimony. She's going to want to spend all your money and so a whole lot of negative stuff. Now, is that so? I don't know what a high body count is. No one seems to really define it. And those who attempt, there's a wide range of body count sort of numbers that go around. According to this is probably a bigger issue than just sheer dating or how many divorces there are, family breakdown or hookup culture or any of these sorts of things, because there's supposedly a worldwide rise or a very marked rise in Western countries that are going through high rates of third world immigration. There's a lot of issues allegedly with sexually transmitted diseases. Syphilis, gonorrhea, and some of the ones that pretty much have been eradicated in the West. Now, it can't be a coincidence that you get this massive influx of third world people with very different views on intimate relations and the hygiene around it, an explosion in trans and gay sex, things like that would be you'd think would at least facilitate the sexually transmitted diseases of various types. I mean, AIDS, the list goes on. So I think there's a big relationship with that. Is it happening amongst the white populations of the West? As far as I can tell, no. It's a problem that the West is busily importing, or the globalists are busily importing to the West, bringing in all these sexually transmitted diseases. I suppose it's part of what we can call cultural enrichment. Let's start have a look at what is a high body count. Now, again, I can't really find something specific on this, but if you go onto the Centre for Sexually Transmitted Diseases, and they're ranging in, United Nations have got a division there, and different Western countries have this. The allegation is that only 10%, or just over 10, something like 12% of the population have 10 or more sexual partners in their lifetime. Now that struck me as quite low, and that as many as a quarter only have 3 sexual partners or less in a lifetime. Now I don't know, maybe that's so. Just to give you some idea of how sort of cautious we would need to be to accept those statistics, is that some friends of ours got divorced a few years ago, and the lady who my wife has known for a long time, so we've kind of kept in touch with her. But she, while she was going through the divorce and going through things, she kind of didn't really have any relationships with anybody, and then when that divorce stuff was settled and she kind of recovered a little bit, so I guess there was 2 or 3 years where she probably didn't get laid once. Then she started dating again, and she had well over 20, probably closer to 30 sexual relationships in 12 months. So she was very, very active on that front, and a lot of dates where this is like online dating, stuff like that. A lot of dates where she met the guy and thought, I wouldn't fuck you. And so it was quite mercenary, really. She was out to, catch up on lost time, or sort of a pent-up demand type situation. So she assured us that she was having lots of hot, steamy sex and so on. But I just sort of listening, I didn't do much of the talking. It was really her and my wife doing the talking, and I make a couple of observations. But just listening to it, I don't think she was getting hot sex. She was getting fucks, but she wasn't getting hot sex with somebody that she liked or appreciated or admired or loved or that. So I don't think she was getting much out. And from the looks of it, there's a few photographs that she showed. Maybe I'm missing something, but the guys didn't look particularly hot as far as I could tell. I mean, what do I know? But anyway, so if you've got sort of 25 plus partners in 12 months, then she's 2.5 times the lifetime maximum average that the health authorities cite as factual. I don't know how people declare this or how they gather those stats, but anyway, I would think that 10 was rather low for somebody who was like me, who was I suppose a brief time when I was like 19 or 20 or something, and there was a brief time, but for someone like me who's rather choosy about who I fuck, I'm more than double the so-called average. But so now there's a couple of things. Does it mean because someone has a high historical body count, particularly if it might be, say, a second marriage type? You've already been married, you're out dating, that sort of thing. Does it mean that someone who's got a high sexual body count is automatically that's it? You're bad relationship material. There's no way a relationship could work with someone like you. You've got a high body count. Why don't you get the fuck out of the door and don't come back? I don't know. Is that really a sensible or reasonable way of looking at it? I think it's more nuanced than that. And it's not something I wanted to or even thought about spending a lot of time, but I just see so much of it online, just coming up in the feed. I don't think it is. So let's go to the two schools. One school of thought, which seems to be prevalent. There are sites like, say, Better Bachelor, for example. He bangs on about this. He's got quite a good site, actually. It's worth having a look. Not that I agree with everything he says, but it's not a bad site. It's worth a look. But one of the things he and others come out with is that high body count automatically means that the relationship won't work out, or it'll be low quality, or she's a floozy that's not capable of making a deep commitment to the relationship and that sort of stuff. So I don't agree. So overall, I don't agree. So what are the more nuanced schools of thought? So I'll present sort of some of them now. One is if a lady has had quite a number of intimate relationships, whether it's 10 or not, but a number of them, she's better able to determine what it is she wants. Now, depending on the sort of household and family and upbringing she comes from, if she's been given some very stable, sensible, reasonable, kind, loving and caring examples of how a loving couple may behave and interact, then she may also see the things that are valuable in another person, the qualities in them that will lend themselves to stability, continuity, gentleness, caring, loving, sharing, these sorts of things, which are all important in a relationship. Now, if someone's come from that sort of relationship, the chances are they will already have a pretty decent idea of the values that they want in a partner, in another person, and that gives them a head start over the majority of the population. There's not many relationships that are that good and give such good examples to the children as they grow up. And just if you observe the gentleness of your parents, the gentle touch, the loving embrace, these sorts of things, these are and you can connect with even the emotion of the moment when you see that caring. And so if you have that grounding, the chances are you would need fewer relationships. You would know if you get in a relationship with someone that doesn't have that, then you would spot that pretty early on, and maybe even before you got to getting horizontal, and then you would seek out those who have that. Typically those sort of people, not always, but typically those sort of people can quickly spot others that have those same, intimate values of loving and caring and sharing and so on. And they would gravitate towards them as possible partners. It does mean that they may not, deviate from the straight and narrow. They maybe, you say in the case of the girl, she sees some, super hot guy who pays her attention, and they have a fling together or something. But that's not going to last. She probably knows that at the outset. He's, that hot looking guy is just a fuck. That's it. Nor does that mean she's become debauched because of that. Anyway, so people that come from that sort of background tend to also marry people they know they've met through social or work, for example. They've met through certain conditions where you're able to observe someone up close for quite a period of time before you indicate that you may be interested in dating and things like that. So that's those people. But for people that come from divorced homes or where the parents don't necessarily get on that well, or where the parents have negative qualities of spite and jealousy and constant irritability, these sorts of things, then you don't have those sorts of guidelines to, in terms of what's valued in a relationship, to see what do you want, what do you need in a relationship. So you have to find that out for yourself, and that means to do that you must have more relationships to do it. Because only through the trial and error of, okay, well, from a woman's perspective, Billy Bob is a nice guy, but he's as lazy as fuck, and he's not going to be any good to build a family around or a future around. Or Jimmy Jack is, he's a very hardworking guy, but he's so, he won't share a thing. He's so grasping and so on. I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody like that. Or so-and-so is a great fuck, but he's a slob, or this or that, those sorts of things. And so by trial and error, they kind of work it out. But that means they have to go through a decent body count to get, assuming that they have an aspirational goal that they want to love him. I think most people do. I mean, people that don't aspire to it believe it's that they just either can't get it, it doesn't exist, or that they can't get it, that there's something in them that says, look, I'm never going to have that, so I'm going to have to accept second best or third best or whatever. Nor should you say you can have it all. To what extent are people prepared to trade, loving, kind and gentleness for good looks? So, well, I'll accept an unattractive person just so I can get the other stuff. Now, another thing that goes around, especially in the debauchery thing, high body count debauchery thing, is that women who are good looking, hot looking women, are automatically bad relationship material because they're hot looking. They know they're hot looking. They know they can get any guy they want. Therefore, they fuck any guy. Therefore, they're unreliable relationship material, and they'll run off with the first hot-looking guy who's got a few bucks and decent-paying job or something like that. And therefore, why bother having a relationship? I mean, I don't agree with that. Not every woman or man, for that matter, thinks that way. I've seen that widespread, or that attitude quite widespread. Years ago, I dated this girl, and it took some courage to ask her out. Ask her out on a date. This is like, I don't know, 21, 22 or something. She was I didn't realize, but she's actually older than me. She's like 23 or something. I thought she was smoking hot. So I asked her out, and she, we're out on the first date, and she sort of fesses up that she actually finds it really hard to get a date, and she thought there must be something wrong with her. So she was, buying sexier and sexier clothes, doing more and more time in the gym and watching what she was eating and this and that, and going to special makeup courses to make herself look hotter, and she couldn't work it. And the thought crossed my mind is she's so smoking hot, the guys are just afraid to ask her out. The only guys that'll hit on her are rich guys who just want a trophy wife to show off. Otherwise, no other guy will go near her because they're too frightened. So that sort of insecurity becomes self-defeating. If you're that insecure that somebody well, I can't date someone as good. I can only date someone as ugly because otherwise they run off with some other guy or some other girl or whatever. I mean, that's self-defeating. And I suppose we've all gone through it maybe to some extent in our lives, but we need to, overcome that, because again, you just you defeat your own purpose there. So I don't think high body count automatically means debauchery or automatically means bad relationship possibilities. Nor do I think a hot looking babe or if you're a girl, a hot looking guy automatically means. And you have to have enough faith in what you put on the table that you want that person will want to be with you. Now, if you get the first attitude of, you turn up for the date and the girl says, well, you better take me to a fancy restaurant, otherwise no dice, buddy. I'm not getting out of bed for someone who takes me to the local takeout chicken shop. Then now, it's someone like myself, I wouldn't think of taking someone to the takeout chicken shop anyway. But the idea of you better give me what I want or else, fuck you. So that's already a bad sign. Does it mean that the better looking chicks are going to pull that on? Maybe, but nonetheless, you still have to come back to the values of what you want. What is it you want? Now, we all want people who are good looking and hot and this and that. If you're a girl, I just want a super rich guy who's super hot, who gives great sex and spends all his time showering me in princess gifts. But that sort of girl's just a nutcase. Why would anybody want someone to do? Why would you want anything to do with somebody like that? You wouldn't. So again, it comes back to, I think it's far more nuanced, and you have to stay focused on what it is you want, and you sacrifice certain things. So I look at, say, the the chicks that I was dating, years ago now, but one was quite good looking. She's very bossy. She'd stamp her feet and say, "You do this, do that." Fuck, I don't want that. And she was quite stunned. I said, "No, not interested." But I'm a hot looking babe. My daddy's got money. You can't walk away from me. I hold all the aces here. You do what I want. That's how it works. And so she saw very much a relationship as a device or a mechanism to transact personal power. I didn't see it as that. So fuck you. There's another. I'm just going to do a rapid run through here. There's another one where I don't think she's that good looking, but she was very, very well connected into the power elite, and could certainly get you in front of the right people that dispense patronage and favors. She'd also been married once to a very rich guy and got this fantastic house, overlooking the harbour. Is worth gazillions, and as she frequently pointed out, you get with me and you'll have half of that sort of thing. And but she was devious and cunning, and I just didn't like that. I just didn't like that constant play of the cunning and the devious, the underhanded, the manipulative, and just put me off. I think even without that, I wouldn't have done much for her. And again, I met her through sort of groups of friends rather than sort of hitting on her or anything. But in fact, she was hitting on me. Another one, again, she came from a wealthy family, and again had a fancy house laid on by the family, very well connected through the family, also into the power elite, and again very, very bossy, to the point where when it came to sort of the intimate act, it's like, you will put your hand there, you will put your knee there, you will put the other knee there, you will now do that, you will now do this, you will now do that, and actually barking out orders on how she wanted to be fucked in each step of the way. But you've got to be kidding me. And I thought she was joking at first, and so I just jumped up and started putting my clothes back. What are you doing? I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm not putting away that crap. And again, she was stunned and called out to me as I was walking, because she had this long driveway with these very, very manicured garden, and she opened the window to the bedroom, which is still there, and still she had dressed, by the way. I hope she had understanding neighbours, and called out, "Hey, Billy Bob, I can make sure you get jobs that you have no chance of getting, and prestige and money and power, and And it was almost like a fucking Faustian pact, I thought, God damn, is she Mephistopheles? That was another one, and there were others. One that she was quite ordinary looking, but she pretended she was the hottest beauty queen in the whole universe. I thought, you got to be kidding me! Why are you playing this hot, sultry, temptress babe thing when you've got none of the equipment to back it up? So you get different ones. One, this particular girl, she was an athlete and super fit, and I find the super fit chicks seem to want to have more sex. There's no question about it, they do. Not that others don't, but they particularly do. And she seemed to want to fuck all the time. But anyway, you look at others. There's another one I dated where she started stalking me, hiding around corners, parking a car down the road and following me around. This sort of thing. Say, hey. But I'm in love with you. I'm allowed to do it because I have to know that you're the right person. No, fuck off. Really, get fucked. Get out of here. So you can get all sorts of different people with different motivations, very different insecurities and different body counts. But it comes down to the same thing. If they're without that good frame of reference to start life in, the loving, caring, gentle, sharing parents, they're without that. Not that guarantees they know what they want, but it gives them a very good head start. And then they're going to have to go through a certain body count to learn the lessons of what they do want. And so I see a higher body count is not in itself a bad thing, particularly not if they were genuine in their desire to make it work. And maybe it didn't work out. It can't be if they're still dating after. But maybe they were maybe they were picking the wrong people. Maybe they were putting their time into the wrong relationships. Maybe their insecurities were causing, so, well, I don't deserve any better than this, those sorts of things. But over time, they kind of work it out what it is they want. But the trade-off is, I want a guy who's super intelligent. In my case, I want a girl who's super intelligent. But what am I prepared to give up? She's super intelligent. She's also a nasty, grabbing, grasping shit bitch. Okay, well, I'm prepared to give up the intelligence if that goes away. Or, well, it's nice to have a woman who's going to inherit a lot of money. Because if I make money and she divorces me, then those sorts of things. So you need to, especially a guy, if you're a high-income earning, hard-working guy, you have to think that way. But what am I prepared to give up to get that financial security? You need that. So there's a constant trade-off, and you can't have everything. And in the end, having someone who's loving, caring, and sharing, dedicated to the relationship, and who is going to try and make it work with you rather than pulling against you. What I found with a number of women is I'll do the opposite of what you want. If you want me to do this, I will do the opposite. Or if you want to save money to buy something, I will now spend that money. Or and they think, well, I'm only standing up for myself. I'm only protecting my individuality as a woman. But really, they're just pulling in the opposite direction and destroying any chance of a meaningful relationship where you must collaborate and be on the same page and be, to use the overused term, to be a team in pursuing the sort of goals and successes that you want, which can range from how you bring up the kids to how much money you want to save, or and so on and so forth. But it comes back to the trade-off. Being prepared to give up, good looks to get reliability, or being prepared to give up brains to get loving and caring, or being prepared to give up this to get that. And I think it becomes a trade-off. And if you get the majority of things you want, and particularly the loving, caring, sharing, and this sort of thing, then once you get that in place, you are prepared to give up other things. Not give them up more willingly, but you're prepared to accept that they are of lesser importance. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. So that's my take on that. So this idea of high body count automatically means relationship doesn't work. I don't accept that. I don't agree with it. I think there are cases, many of them, where a high body count is needed, almost like a learning process. You fail at a number of exams. You sit the exam and you flunk, but through that failure, you realise, well, holy shit, I've got to do more homework on my my mathematics or my science or something, and then you come back each time a little bit better each time and a little bit more aware of what it is you want. Similarly, stages in life, if it's very easy to be, hot and good looking and sexy when you're in your early 20s. It's quite a bit harder to do that when you're in your mid 30s, for example. So you have to do trade-offs on the basis that you're also changing in age and looks and these sorts of things. And that's going to feed into how you make the decisions and what you believe is or what you think you want or need at that time. You've been fantastic today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.